Well, hello there. How are you doing? Looks like we need to get some light here. Let's see. Who am I going to let in here? Let's see. Let's take a look. We're going to let all messages. Yeah, that's a good idea. You're right. Walking around, getting exercise inside of my humble abode here. Oh, did you need some help, or you got it all? Hi.
Excuse me?
Do you have everything under control?
Yep.
Miss Newman?
Yep, I have everything under control.
You do?
Yes, I do.
Wow.
Everything.
You're really good at washing dishes, almost as good as I am. Do you want to have a competition to see who's better at washing
No,
dishes?
thanks. No, thanks. I'll pass.
What's everybody doing today? Welcome to Hollywoodland22. Guess where we're going? We're going right here. That's where we're going, right here. You can see me, right? Yes. This is where I took you. I can't see. I'm going to have to get my bangs cut here pretty soon. Cannot see very well. Hi. Hi. I tell everyone that I go live daily, so the least I can do is go live Wednesday through Sunday, right? Comb some of this hair out of my face. Let me fix this hair a little bit. Ah. Oh, I can see now. That's wonderful. That's absolutely wonderful. I wonder how many people are watching me right now. 8, 14. Got 14 people watching me. That's lovely. Oh, well. Here we go again. We're going to have fun, and we're going to look at my carpet. Like that carpet? How about my door? How about my carpet again? Or my wall? Like that? Let's see who's in here.
Double vision.
Okay, where's everybody from? Let's find out. At Nelorius 4620. Hi. How are you doing? Welcome in. Welcome to Hollywoodland 22. Axel Smith. Hi. Welcome in. Tarrant Trong 1986. What? Hi, how are you doing? Hi. Hi, everyone. And Tarrant Trong 1986 HA is from Vietnam. I heard that place is really booming right now. I'm doing fine. Thanks for asking me. Nelorius 4620. Thanks for asking. You know, sometimes I can go a whole day and not one person asks me how I'm doing. You know, the interesting thing about when you get older is that very few people may care about you. Maybe your family, your close family, maybe extended family members, real friends. You'll see. You'll see that circle get smaller. Then you get over, and then you're like, usually when you get over 40, you start having someone call you or contact, I guess at this point on Facebook, or contact you. Or you hear that somebody you went to high school with or college with, or you knew as a kid growing up had passed away or something. They start trickling in then. It gets a little more in your 50s. Because as you get older, you know, some of your friends are like, 15, might be 15, 20 years older than you. You know, when they're about, excuse. Oh, you taking a fan in there?
Yeah, please.
You might have friends when you're like 40 that are like 60 or something. And then when people get in their 60s, you never know. I've had a lot of really good friends of mine pass away. And then if you live in California, especially if you live in a place like Los Angeles in the last 15 years, especially the last 10 years, a lot of people that I was buddies with just decided to move out of the city and move out of the state. And they went everywhere. So people I used to pal around with, they're everywhere now. They're in Texas and Nevada and Arizona and Tennessee and Florida. And I'm the only one I know that came to North Carolina, but there are other people. The Charlotte and Raleigh area, a lot of people from like the San Francisco Bay Area in Sacramento, I run into in this area. Not so much Los Angeles, but like Northern California. This is called the Research Triangle: Raleigh, Durham, Chapel Hill. It's had a lot of high-tech companies here for many decades around here. God is good. That's right, Jamie. This message is held for review. Really? Is it? I wonder what they said. Yeah, we all scattered. We all scattered all over the place. Oh, by the way, thank you for hitting the like and subscribe button. The like and the subscribe button really helps me out. I'm trying to get to 600 subscribers. I did not make that goal a couple weeks ago, but well, by the end of this week, by the end of Saturday, I'd like to have 600 subscribers. So if you could hit the subscribe button, I'd really appreciate it. It's free to do too. I subscribe back. That's what I do. To people to subscribe to me. I like to subscribe. It's fun and exciting. I hear an owl out there, and there's somebody doing flips on their skateboard out there too. At nighttime, underneath the light. I guess they have some light. To Vietnam? Not anytime soon. I may. If the doctor says, if my doctor says that I can fly, I'll ask him. Say, is it okay for me to fly overseas? You guys are so funny. Wow. Well, you'll never guess what I picked up at the store. We changed our shopping day to Tuesdays. Yeah. Picked up some of this stuff again. Yeah. Okay. Somebody is asking me, is he British or American? That is a easy question to answer. I am an American. I am of 50%, well, almost 50% English descent and 50% German descent, but that goes back, to my grandparents and on both sides of the family. I think my great-grandparents on both sides of the family were either German or English, going back into the early 1900s and the late 1800s. My mother's side of the family originates from, what do they call them? They came over here from Germany in the late 1800s. We had a lot of German immigrants after the Civil War that happened in our country in 1860 to 1865. But after that, a lot of German and Irish immigrants came over here. And they came to Pennsylvania, and then they decided to go out west. Nebraska. Yeah, I have a lot of distant cousins that are in western Nebraska and eastern Colorado, and even out in Utah. That's on my mother's side of the family. My father's side of the family, they're from England. They came over here because they were being, because of, I think it was religious persecution. We did a genealogy on my family. They came over to New York City. Some of them stayed there. The clan that has my last name wandered out to Central Texas. So a lot of people with my last name, which is an English last name, that live in Texas, are either my cousins or distant cousins. Texas, Oklahoma, and where else? Parts of Colorado. I met a distant cousin of mine once. Very interesting. Even though I grew up on the East Coast, my family has its origins that immigrated here. They go to New York, they went to Pennsylvania, they ended up out in Texas and Nebraska. A lot of immigrants, like in the United States after the Civil War, actually did push westward, and just some people that lived in places like Nebraska where it gets really cold winters, and they didn't have a lot of wood when they first got out there, they would just dig a hole in the ground and just make, dirt and take sod and mud and make bricks and just build like a hut or something like that until they could get some lumber out there on horses from whatever the nearest railroad was. I think some of my ancestors on my mother's side had something to do with building a railroad. I think that were the people from the East Coast and the Chinese workers from San Francisco where they met. I'm not sure, but I think it was just west of Cheyenne, Wyoming, in a town called Laramie. Correct me if I'm wrong, if there's anybody in here that knows about that, when they built that railroad across the United States. I think it was in Laramie. I could be wrong. Not a historian, but I think it was in Laramie, just east of Cheyenne. I think some of my great-grandfather's father, my great-great-grandfather was involved in something that had to do with getting that railroad completed. Could you imagine living out in like western Nebraska or western Kansas or Wyoming, like in like the 1880s or 90s? That's like way out there. I've been through there in a car and there's nothing out there, dude. There's nothing out there. It's like I had water in my trunk, had all my tire tools and everything. I'm like, you don't want to be out in the middle of Kansas. Like when you go past a certain point, there's like nothing out there, dude. I don't know. There's some places where I did not even see livestock. It starts getting a little deserty out there, kind of, sort of. No, you can reject women if you want. James. Randy. Bob. No, I haven't drank any alcohol or used any wacky tobacco in almost 19 years. Yeah, I got older. I when I was 41, I stopped drinking alcohol and that stuff. Yeah, I stopped that a long time ago. Used to. I think the humans were built different back in the 1800s. I mean, I think here's the thing, like if you were unlucky and you had like bad genes or something like that, a lot of people just, you just didn't make it. There was a high mortality rate back then before. The big thing was making it from getting born and getting to like 5 years old, because there was a high mortality rate in young children. And also a lot of people back in the 1800s, you'd be surprised, not even in a war or anything, people are dropping over in their 50s all the time. I mean, you had to have some wealth and live in a city close to some physicians and have good genes to make it into your 60s back then. You know what I mean? Like New York or Philadelphia or some big city or something with like really good doctors and stuff, like, in between like the Civil War and when they invented aspirin and penicillin. I think that was in the early 1900s. Back in those days, like, it wasn't just like, it was all over the country. People were like dropping after 45 years old. Like a semi-natural selection, yeah. Which means that if we're still living, right? We should, you'd think, I'd have to ask a doctor this, we should have way better genes. We should have some pretty strong genes if way back our great-grandparents were the ones that survived and lived through their childhood without getting a childhood disease, and then lived through a whole bunch of stuff, and then continued on and at least made it to like 60 or something, right? They used to have a lot of people, families used to be big. I have a picture of my great-grandfather and all his brothers and sisters. I think there's like 11 or 12 of them. And people used to have gigantic families to work on the land, right? If you were breeding horses or whatever they were doing out there. I think they were breeding horses. I have to ask my parent, right? They had to have a lot of children because some of them weren't going to make it, Semi-natural selection, Bob says. Bob-C2Z4S. You can ask me questions. Ask me any question you want. Try to remember what I learned in university and in high school. I'm trying to remember some things. You know what's a really good book to buy and read? I think you can get it online. There is a book that was actually written by a guy that's from North Carolina, but he went through a lot of historical records because there were not a lot of books that were like history books of what was going on in Southern California, particularly in the Los Angeles area in Southern California. And he went through a whole bunch of records, all the records he could find that go all the way back to, you know, the 1840s, as far back as he can go. And he wrote a book. It's a history book about what was going on from about 1845 to about 1900 in the Los Angeles County, California, where our second biggest city is. Because back then it was just a river with, it was nothing back then. It's just a bunch of guys out there, hardly any women out there, and just they were ranch hands and stuff, and there's a lot of cattle and growing things, and it was a really rough town. And the name of the book is Eternity Street. Just look it up on the computer. Google it, Eternity Street with an E, Eternity Street. It's the history of Los Angeles, California, in between around, I'd say, the mid 1840s through the turn of the century in 1900. And at one point, and you know, the railroads didn't come in until like 1877 or 8. And at one point, it had an extremely high violent crime rate, and they did not have a police department, and they did not have a judicial system out there. It was just like mob justice out there for a while. It was nuts. It's worse than it was now. Let's see. Okay. Ray Liotta, Ethan Hawke, and the head vampire from Lost Boys had a love child somehow. You're funny. Rusty, I promise I won't do that. I promise. I usually get Kurt Russell a lot since I was middle-aged. I see a little bit of resemblance, not a lot. I don't know if I would be one of those people. Like if I was like some kind of person that, you know, came to America and I lived in a big city on the East Coast, like Boston or New York or Philadelphia, or one of those places back in like, you know, like in 1870 or something like that, or one of those 1880, like back in those days, or 1890. I don't know if I would be crazy enough, like before the railroads were completed, you know, or even after the railroads were completed. I don't think I would be crazy enough to like leave the East Coast. I don't think I would do it. I might. I mean, I did it in modern times, but that's easy. I'm from Philadelphia. I got on a Greyhound bus in Center City, Philadelphia in 1987 or 88, and I took off from 10th and Filbert Street in Center City, and I went all the way across country to California. But that's nothing compared to, like, I don't know, going with a few friends with some ammunition and a sidearm and like going out, maybe about 3 or 4 horses and just kind of going on a dirt trail, going across country, out to wherever. You know what I mean? Jelly Bean, would you do it? Would you go across country before there's electricity and everything? Even if there was a train? I'll tell you, would you go there? Would you go across country and live out west? Maybe I'm too soft now, man. I know my great-great-grandparents did it. They must have been like the rebellious one in the family or something, Fravo, how you doing? Frero, Veneer. Hi from Australia. He's preventing a war. It's turning out to be a lot easier than I thought. But, you can't let them get a hold of any kind of nuclear fission or fusion weapons, whether they have a delivery system or not. And it's not gonna work. We're doing a big favor for at least about 1/3 of the countries on this planet are very close, within grabbing distance of a ballistic missile from Iran, if they ever got a hold of that material. About 1/3 of the countries on this planet, So actually, we're doing a lot of nations a big favor. Costa Rica. Are you on San Jose, Puerto Limon? Are you out on the West Coast, or where in Costa Rica are you? A lot of Americans go down there and spend their money. They said your $1 is worth $2. Last I heard, like $1 is worth 2 colognes, is what I heard. And you guys down there, they have a constitution that's kind of like very similar to the United States Constitution, and the country works really nice. Like Costa Rica works out really nice. I heard about it. A lot of people come back from Costa Rica and tell me good things. America's at its, let me see. I brought my own mic. America is claims America is at its lowest point since the smallpox blankets. From the outside looking in, it looks like the entire continent is asleep at the wheel. Is this accurate? A certain age group was. From about somewhere around 2010 until now, there was a certain age group that was kind of not paying attention to civic responsibilities the way they should have. And the COVID-19 debacle did not help, and the local governments in about 1/3 of the states really kind of did not help by putting the scare on everybody. But that's not the case anymore. That's not the case anymore. People are very aware of what's going on in the country, and there's in the United States. The older millennials, definitely my generation, the baby boomers are, most of them. Some of them are still aging hippies. I don't know where they're getting their information from, but especially the younger people, particularly younger men. The men between the ages like 45 and up, or the younger guys, like guys that are college age and stuff like that, like younger, like under 25. A lot of those young guys are like, they're not going to just go to college. I mean, they're thinking differently. They're thinking, well, You know, they're getting ready for a different type of economy, a different type of a set of skills they're going to need. I hear them chatting about it and talking about it on social media about, this is a new world. In many ways, they're trying to develop different skill sets, or just go into the trades. Or if they're going to college, they're going to be an engineer, they're going to be a CPA, they're going to be a doctor, or something like that. They're going to go into school and or be a nurse, or be a pharmacist, or basically get a professional degree, not a liberal arts thing, like a professional degree. It's different. It's different. I don't see any other reason to go to attend university if you're not going to get a professional degree, unless your family is wealthy. I mean, truly wealthy, and to the point where your family is so wealthy that you don't really need to create wealth. You already have it in the family. And if your parents were so wealthy that they said, well, that's okay, son, you can go be a shark scientist, or why don't you study marine biology or something like that, something like that. You know what I mean? Or if the school's already grabbed a hold of you and they figured out you have an IQ of 135 or more, something like that, so like that you're borderline genius, and that you can end up, going to school and actually getting a doctorate in something, or being a professor or a research scientist. At that level, I guess you could make enough money to support yourself. But all these undergraduate degrees with these liberal arts degrees, I don't know why people are spending all the money to get any kind of education that isn't a professional degree, if you do not come from money. You know what I mean? It doesn't make any sense. If you're even upper middle income or below, it makes no sense to do that. I mean, to me. It's about anything you want to talk about. You can, Zakar Ikaias. Sorry if I mispronounced that, 5911. This live is about whatever you want to talk about. You can ask me questions. You can even ask me my opinion. I may give it to you. Probably will. Why go one by one when we can all go together? Scottish Highlander, hi, how are you doing? Welcome back. I think you've been in here before. I'm at Arenal, or the Arenal volcano and lake are. It's beautiful. Oh, really? I did not know they had volcanoes there. I wasn't aware of that. I learned something new every day. Our country is similar, yes, in many ways to the United States. It's cool. But we don't have so many crazy people wanting to mess up the country. I know there's a lot of there's some weird thing going on in the United States where you got like criminally insane people. Like, it's like, I can see it. I can pick up on it. I'm like, what's that about? Like laughing at people instead of laughing with them. And like, I don't know if it's like maybe social media and these chats and these social media live streams are perhaps the last frontier for bad behavior. I don't see people like acting really out of line in real life. I guess you do. Like out in California in some places, yes, I do. but not. It's mostly on the social media and these chats. People say smart aleck things and things they would never say to somebody and to their face. The world is changing. You can work from home here in many different types of jobs. Yeah, I know. I heard. If you can live half price or even 1/3 off, why not? We have built so many houses and mansions and condos for foreigners from the United States, Europe, and Canada. I bet from Canada. God, I wouldn't want to live in Canada. Yeah, I won't tell too many people about it. It is nice down there. I heard you have these monkeys that come through some of these small towns and jump on the roofs and stuff. I've heard about that. Good to talk to you. You friend. Be good. Thank you. I brought my own mic. Thank you. Thank you for coming in. Yeah, there's middle income people in the United States. I think it's not factual to think that the middle income is gone. It's here. It's just not as much as it used to be. It can come back. It can come back, and that middle income, America could be even living higher standards of living than middle income America in the 70s, 80s, or 90s. We could have an even higher standard of living for middle income America and have a large middle income America, lower middle income, straight middle income, and upper middle income. We could have that. I know that people think that there's seems like there's a bunch of poor people and a bunch of people that are rich, but this is far from the Gilded Age. The Gilded Age in the late 1800s was totally different. I mean, yeah, back then you had like 90% of everybody was poor. And like 1% of the country or less. Some people that were well off, and then they had like maybe 1% or less of the country owned an enormous amount of the wealth. That was the case at some point after the Civil War, maybe in the late 1870s, 1880s, 1890s, maybe the beginning of when the century turned. It was a much bigger income disparity than it is now. Believe it or not, it was. And a lot of that income was that disparity in income. A lot of those wealthy people lived in Boston, lived in places, New England, New York, Philadelphia, places like that. That's where they lived. There's even a little bit of old money out there in the Cleveland area, believe it or not. Cleveland and Pittsburgh to a certain degree. I'm from Philadelphia originally. I lived in Los Angeles for over 30 years. Almost 35 years, I think. The movie After Earth was filmed here at this volcano. It's a terrible movie with Will Smith. I shook hands with Bruce Willis at a mall one day. Oh, really? Wow. Man, ignore me. Frostlick, 1697. Wow. I'm paying attention to you now. Is that true? In the U.S., you guys are poor? No, I'm talking about in the late 1800s. We don't have that low standard of living by any. We just don't have that low standard of living anymore. People have the poor people live well here. I had to look at the conversion rate of UK money is worth more than US money. I think isn't a pound like $2 US dollars or something like that? Yeah. Timu, Kurt Russell, Cobart, 72. You're funny. Freyo Veneer, says, that's true. We could be doing much better, but it's not the intention of the people in charge. But hey, we do all right in Costa Rica, man. Come on down. I'll host you and show you around. Thank you. Thank you for the offer. Costa Rica is on my bucket list. Actually, Panama is on my bucket list, too. Yeah, I know. I graduated from high school in 1984, and the mid and late 80s and all through the 90s and all the way up until about 2008, there was just a lot of, this country was doing well. One of the most beautiful places to live. Look up Arenal Lake, Costa Rica. I am going to do that. Arenal Lake. Oh, don't pity us. Don't pity us. There's too many crazy people, and there's too many people that are go-getters and work really hard. They're crazy enough to do stuff that nobody else on the planet would do. They got people in the United States that climb rock cliffs with no equipment, just freehand climb rock cliffs. We have like fearless people in the United States. It's just things that a lot of people would say are just crazy. Some of the most daring and adventurous people on the planet are here. They think up things that they dream big, and then they get a group of guys together to figure out how to make that dream come true. Fly people into outer space, and got this guy in our country that wants to put human beings on Mars. I think that's a little nuts, but I don't see the purpose in it, but maybe there is. You got a lot of fearless types that came to this country. A lot of Scotch Irish came to this country. A lot of people that just didn't have jack where they came from. People were starving to death in Ireland and southern Italy and stuff, came to this country, and they just were like, they're just called go-getters. A lot of go-getters here. You know, it's part of the culture here. So yeah, I would not pity us. California is, some parts are doing fine. Some cities are having some problems with corruption right now in their local governments, but it will be fixed. Even with help, there is federal intervention in some of the areas that are not doing well, but it will be fixed up. It will be repaired. It'll probably, well, if I can live another 5 years, it'll get fixed up in 5 years or less. You look like you can. No, I don't do that. No, I don't do that. Don't do shit like that, dude. Oh, you built a lot of houses for the foreigners. I bet you built a lot of houses. I remember some things. I read a lot. I read the newspapers a lot all my life. And I read from A to U. And it was my father's 1954 World Book Encyclopedia. I think it's like a 7th or 8th grade level English, but I read from A until U between the ages of about 6 to about the age of 15. I got that far. I did not read V, W, X, Y, or Z. Come on, man. I have to cause. I got a couple of friends over here in the U.S. They tell me what they be doing and how tough it is for them. Oh, I don't think it's tough here. I've had tough times in my life, and even my toughest times. You know what the toughest times I had in my life? When the local government wasn't doing their job. Like when I was a young guy, and there's just, I mean, I didn't leave the East Coast I didn't leave where I was living for no reason. I left for a good reason, and I was like, forget this. I got a big country. I can live other places now. But they used to advertise California. They used to advertise Texas, California, Colorado, and different places to the younger people back in the 70s and 80s. That was the place to go. So I just got on a bus and left with my friend. Go west, young man. You know, that kind of thing was still going on. Not so much anymore. You're not going to go hungry in this country. Chippa 6416 Elon Musk. I never heard about that. Never heard about that at all. I wouldn't say it's doomed by any stretch of the imagination. No. California is not doomed. It's not doomed. You just have some large cities and some small cities that have some very corrupt people in their elected government, and also some non-elected government employees that are goofing off and not doing their jobs and getting paid for it. And you have some nonprofit organizations that were supposed to be helping the homeless out there and have a big homeless problem, and they just took the money and they didn't really do their job too very well. So a lot of that has to be looked into. Find out where all this stolen money is. It's much worse than Minnesota. It's enormous. And yeah. Brown to a certain degree, but not. My opinion. Well, I think it's pretty much public knowledge that under Gavin Newsom, a lot of things happened at a county level and at a municipal level. Oh, and at a state level, some really wacky laws and policies, and really set a lot of California in a downward trajectory. Not all of it. Like, you can go to Orange County. Orange County, California is very, very well kept. You don't see people living all over the streets. You don't see garbage anywhere. There's large parts of far northern California that are beautiful, that just small towns and stuff and farming areas that are doing well. I think he means well. I think he means well. A lot of people talk about him. I think he means well. A lot of people don't like his style, but a lot of people do. Sometimes it takes me a while to find them. Knowledge is power. Change is constant. Hello, sir. I'm a piece of toast. Hey, man, do you want to watch something funny? It's called Professor Has a Mental Breakdown and Accuses Students of Cheating. It sounds like that would be really funny. Like really funny, man. I've never seen a professor have a mental breakdown in my life. That would be interesting to see that, though. Religious, I'm what they call mainline Protestant Christian. I could go to a Presbyterian or a Methodist church. It wouldn't make any difference to me. Well, I'm Protestant Christian, yes. My grandmother was Methodist. One of my grandmothers was Methodist. The other one was Presbyterian. Of course, it was the German side of my family that was Presbyterian. You know what's funny about Presbyterians? They think that life is predestined. I don't know if I believe in that. God bless us all. Professor breaks down and accuses everyone of cheating. John Deere 8888. Thanks for coming in. Thank you guys for coming in. You know, it's about that time that I start thinking about getting something to quench my thirst. And I think it's going to have to be this. Coca-Cola Company's Powerade Zero. Powerade Zero. It's cool. It's refreshing. And, you know, when I drink some Powerade Zero, every time, it makes me feel like a real winner. A winner, I says. Winning. Winning. And you know what? When you watch Hollywoodland22 on YouTube, it makes you a driver and a winner. Things are going to change for you and me. I can feel it. I'll be back in 1 minute. What are you doing? Since you're acting so silly.
That chair is wobbly, and I said, if I
You said
fall
what?
to the floor, that chair over there is very wobbly. I gotta fix it. So if it falls to the floor, I'm gonna say, I'm gonna call the paramedics. I go, help! I'm falling and I can't get up. So they come.
You know, that's interesting. You should say that because, well, guess what, guys? The lights are on now.
Oh,
Miss Newman, Miss Julie Newman.
Yes, can I help you?
You're kind of a young woman to be doing a commercial. Like, what commercial?
Oh, I'm falling. I can't get up.
I'm falling and I can't get up. Okay. When is that? Is that from like the 80s?
Yes.
Okay. Is that First Alert?
Yes.
Those little buttons to contact the paramedics with it around your neck?
It's like, now I'm falling and I can't get up.
Well, when
that chair is so wobbly.
when you get old enough, are you going to
What are you talking about?
are you going to audition for that commercial?
No, I'm old enough now. I can say, oh, I'm falling.
You're not old enough to
My
do that.
chair over there is wobbly enough, and so if it falls apart, I can when I hit the floor, I can say, help! I'm falling and I can't get up. Because that's probably what's gonna happen.
Don't you have to be at least 65, old enough to get the Social Security check?
I think you can be any age and fall and can't get up. I mean, come on. I'm falling. I can't get up. You hear me? My chair is wobbly, 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 wobbly.
It's just wobbling around.
And then one day it's gonna go collapse like this. Poof. And then I'm
No,
gonna
she said. Did she say it like I've fallen and I can't get up?
I'm falling.
She said it in a whiny voice.
Falling and I can't get up. Oh my God.
I've fallen and I can't get up.
I really can't.
Remember how she exaggerated the whine and everything? She was perfect for that commercial. How do you know it wasn't just some middle-aged lady that they put makeup on and they put like gray hair in a poofy like 19, and she had a hairdo from like 1965, like a beehive haircut, and she fell down, and
Well, who says that you can't?
and she
fall
had
down?
way too much makeup on and everything.
Who says you can't fall down at any age? That chair over there is pretty wobbly, so if it breaks, you're gonna fall to the floor. So
What's that? Somebody said something in my live that's funny, kind of, sort of.
I don't have voice.
Here, could you do me a favor? And I'll get you some glasses and go back a little bit.
I'm falling. Help! I'm falling. I'm falling in love. The love boat.
There's the.
I'm just singing the love boat a little bit there. The love boat.
Something new and exciting for everyone.
Something new and exciting for everyone. Thank you very much. Thank you. Thank you. I'll be here all evening. No, I won't. That was a joke.
Hey, you got any grapes?
No, do you have any grape poupon?
I got some grapes.
I got some mustard in the refrigerator. I guess I can call it grape poupon.
Are you looking for
Pardon me, Français. Do you have any grape poupon?
Remember that commercial?
Wayne's World.
Party time.
Excellent. Mm-hmm. That's
So,
what that.
you remember that grape pond commercial?
Yes. When the guy runs down the window, he's an old John. Pardon me, do you happen to have any grape poupon?
Happen to have any grape pond?
Why, no, I don't. But I have some yellow mustard.
No, you can't. No, the guy in the other car
kidding.
did have grape pond.
I'm
You want-
kidding.
Remember when that used to be expensive mustard?
Yes, it still is.
That's what I'm saying, people.
I'm falling.
You have a much higher standard of
Help me
living.
now, I'm falling. Help me now, I'm falling. Falling in love. What was that lady's name that sung that song? Help
That
me
was
now,
Shel
I'm
Goldstein.
falling.
Who was that that sang Catch Me, I'm Falling?
Catch me now, I'm falling. Falling in
Was
love.
that was, I'm not sure. Who sang that? Catch Me, I'm Falling.
Nobody else.
I don't know if her name was Michelle. I can't remember what her name was.
Look it up.
Was she a one-hit wonder?
Yes. Catch me now, I'm falling.
Catch Me.
Me now, I'm falling.
Was her name Michelle Goldstein?
I'll look it up in just a minute.
Or was that somebody else I'm thinking of?
I don't know.
I shall return.
Yeah, no. Lauren, somebody. Lauren. Oh, well, like it really matters. What are y'all people saying today anyway? Let's see. Look up! What did you say? With the lion broke, the monkey got choked. Money, money, mo, money, 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 mo.
What are people saying?
I don't know. I can't read it.
Can't read it? I'm going to have to go
Can't
through it.
read it. Can't read it. Can't read it. Sorry.
I have to take a look at what's going on.
I have to take a drink out of my.
I wonder who's been in here.
My fake tumble.
Your what?
My fake Stanley cup.
Okay, let's see. Let's have a drink. Cheers, mate.
More.
Powerade time. How are you doing, brother? Larry Thompson, thanks for coming in.
Thank you. Thank you very much. I'll be here all week.
Can I try to go through all these? Thank you for joining Hollywoodland22 here. Thank you for hitting the like and the subscribe button. Let's see what people are saying. Somebody said I look a little bit like Jim Carrey. I'm going to drink coffee and stay up because there's no rest. Because there's no rest. Oh, it's not letting me. This phone is not letting me go up too far. You're tripping, sir. Stop spamming, Sir John Eilert.
Keep spamming if you're spamming.
Baboon Chicken Spoon from Baboon Chicken Spoon from Baboon Chicken Spoon.
Yeah, I'll give you a chicken spoon.
She's a rave, haha. Thank you. So you like Julie Newman? She has her own channel, but she only has one thing posted. What are we making? We were making some.
Nothing. I'm making nothing. Absolutely nothing. Clean the kitchen.
You got some grape jelly?
I have some great.
Brenda said she wants a receipt for her singing. Total Tech 8246. Thanks for coming in. Voice of an Angel. Thank you, M Newhouse 84. Thanks for coming back in. M Newhouse 84 is a big supporter of my channel, and so is Larry Thompson, and so is Freyroff Vanier 1096. I feel just like her about the commercial. The delivery of the lady in the commercial is so urgent, but so funny it is. I've never tried it with alcohol. I will now. Okay. She looks a little bit like Jim Carrey. They think you look like Jim Carrey. Actually, you do look like a female version of Jim Carrey, don't
I have
you?
the eye color. It's the blue eyes.
Excuse me.
The eye color. The eye color is the same. Whoop, whoop. That's the sound of the
Nescafe with 2 shots of rum, man. Let's go.
Whoop, whoop. That's the sound of the police. Whoop, whoop. That's
What are you singing now?
I don't know.
What was that song?
Whoop, whoop. That's the sound of the beast. Whoop, whoop. That's the sound of the police.
Who's that dude? What's that rapper's name
I don't know.
that did that song?
Whoop, whoop. That's
From the
sound of
80s?
beast. Whoop, whoop. That's the sound of the police.
Scott Rock had a ball. He was a super ho. I know. What's his name? What's that guy's name?
Yeah. I don't know.
Oh, it's KRS-One. That's who it is.
KRS-One.
And I can't remember the name of their little rap band or whatever it was.
Oh, good.
Oh yeah, they had that hit rap song "Criminal Minded," didn't they? That's the one, and that's the one. Their mixing engineer like kind of bit the dust. And they don't. I don't know if they ever found out who did it.
Did you ever do it?
Guys probably don't even know about all this stuff. This is old stuff from the
When did you do
80s.
it? How did you do it? When and
I
how?
remember stuff from way back then.
I remember.
Brian
I
Bilbrey,
remember-
hello again from West Texas. We got another West Texas person in here.
I remember back there in the days, back in the harbors, when they used to make old moonshine.
Moonshine.
They make white lightning.
White lightning.
So you're from
I'm
Rayburn.
back in the holler. I come back from the hollers. I'm from the hollers.
That's
yeah.
Rayburn County, Georgia.
Yeehaw! Yeehaw! Yeehaw!
Isn't that where they filmed that movie Deliverance with Burt Reynolds
I reckon it is.
and the dueling banjos kid?
Yeah.
And what is he now? He's like a.
He works at Walmart right down the street. He is a,
Did he make a manager?
yeah, he's manager at the local Walmart.
You mean the kid from the movie grew up and he was?
Yeah.
He's probably retired by now.
Oh no, honey, he probably still up yonder at the Walmart going, hey, can I check your receipt?
Hi, Brian. How are you doing?
Can I check your receipt?
Brian.
Receipts.
Brian from West Texas, but I can't remember where he said he was from. Pampa or Idalou or Abilene or one of those towns out there.
Deep down in the heart of Texas.
But Brian knew all about where I lived from 1977 to 1981.
Deep down in the heart of Texas.
It was a
Oh.
4-year excursion away from Philadelphia. Then I went back to Commonwealth of Pennsylvania.
Deep down in the heart of Texas. In the heart of Texas. The yellow rose of Texas. I'm going there to see.
I mean, you didn't think I knew that song, did you?
What's that?
I bet you didn't think I knew that song, would you, did you?
Well, it's back to the
There's a
cave.
yellow rose in Texas. I'm going there to see.
You know how to sing that song, The Yellow Rose of Texas?
Yes, of course. Of course I do.
Oh. Where do they sing that song? And the Outlaw Josie Wells or that other one, Pale Rider? Pale Rider with Clint Eastwood in it. Yeah, that's right.
If you're gonna play with Texas, we're gonna have a fiddle in the band.
Okay, back to my cave.
All right, bye-bye.
How do you like my carpet? Does my carpet look a lot of fun? What about my wall? Yes, that was the beautiful and talented Julie Newman. Today we had Pacific cod and vegetables, steamed vegetables. That's what I had. Let's see, this message is held for review. I wonder what the message is. Okay. Anyway, I've been on here for 1 hour and 10 minutes. It's about time for me to call it a night. want everyone here to know that I appreciate you coming in. I really do. Thank you for hitting that subscribe button. I need subscribers. I subscribe back. That's what I do. You subscribe to me, I subscribe to you. We're trying to get up to 600. He's about to get on Grindr. No, I don't think so. Not Scotty Wallace, not 6197. No. No, I have a beautiful girlfriend. I've been with her for. She's a friend. She's a lady and she's a friend. She's my lady friend. For a long time. A lady friend. I've had lots of lady friends. 1980s edition. Yes, I am basically a walking, talking 1984. Yeah, you're definitely not my father. Scotty _ Wallace 6197 said, I was born on 86. That was my second year in college. I remember 1986. Was that when that Wang Chung song came out? Everybody Wang Chung tonight or something like that. Some ridiculous song. What's up with like people that are young enough to be my kids' age, like younger people, like in their 20s? Why are they so fascinated with the 80s? I was like, I always wondered, it's just out of curiosity. 80s music, 80s, and even like 70s stuff, like late 70s, 80s kind of music and movies and things like that. I just find it to be interesting. Some people think 80s music sucked. I think 80s music was varied. I think some of it was really bad. I mean, I was 18 in 1984, and I think some of the 80s music, about a third of it was horrible. That's my opinion, but I think some of the clothing styles were, I don't know. The 70s were kind of corny too. It wasn't that bad. It wasn't as bad. All that baggy pants that came in like in the late 90s and early 2000s, I was like, what's that about? So I guess 80s kind of attire was. Well, there was a time I remember when I was a child in the 1970s that adults used to dress nice. Well, on the East Coast, they did. The guys wore suits. The older guys wore hats. The women wore high heels and dresses, and they looked sharp and with their makeup and everything. In New York, New Jersey, and Philadelphia, and DC, and places like that, and Boston. Yeah, the women and the men that were adults were dressed sharp. It wasn't none of this just running around with t-shirts and 2-year-old blue jeans with holes in them and stuff. People didn't dress like that back then. Maybe young people, but by the time you got to a certain age, you like dressed a certain way. The average person in Texas can't wear a suit. To West Texas was always kind of a blue jeans and boots, and they used to wear those like mountain climbing boots and jeans with flares and t-shirts or flannels and stuff like that. A lot in the wintertime. A lot of people out West Texas used to dress like that. A lot of the young people. I remember how the young people dressed because I was there. Scotty Wallace, you're from Fort Worth? Yeah, I heard they're getting rid of the stockyards. What's up with that? Or somebody's wants to build something there. Are you from Fort Worth? I remember when Fort Worth was like a medium-sized city. It wasn't like this big, giant place it is now. It was a medium-sized city. It was bigger than Lubbock or Abilene. It was bigger than Abilene. But it wasn't humongous yet. You know what I mean? It's like Fort Worth is really like a super raw Texas place. And Dallas felt like it seemed so cosmopolitan, you know, almost East Coastish. I remember that. And when you get out to Arlington and Roanoke and anything out there, what county is that? Is Fort Worth Tarrant County? Yeah, I know. Yeah, Texas has those neighborhoods too. Has needed it for about 20 years. West Texas is salt flats and mountains. Yeah. Well, past the Pecos, I lived part of my childhood in Lubbock, of all places, and other places near Lubbock, like Levelland and places like that. I lived there from 1977, from the age of 10 to the age of 14, and I lived. No, almost 15. For about 4.5, almost 5 years, I lived in West Texas. My mother moved out there, and then I moved back to Philadelphia. I remember we used to ride like motocross motorcycles, like all through the desert out there. It's kind of desert up in the Panhandle too. It's been made into farms, into cotton farms and stuff. But when you get away from the cotton farms, you realize that you're in a high desert, and it goes into New Mexico too. And parts of the western part of Oklahoma is high desert too. Got some crazy weather out there. Crazy weather. I kind of like Fort Worth. I know in Arlington they used to cruise cars there. Like, I've been out there in my 20s and stuff. People used to cruise their car. All the young people used to hang out in Arlington on that main road. I remember that back in like the 80s and stuff. Do you remember that in Arlington? People used to cruise their cars like in the 80s and stuff, probably in the 90s too. And if you wanted to be like, I think American Airlines was in Euless. If you wanted to work as like an airline steward or train for anything, you had to go to Euless to train, no matter where you're from, if they hired you, and they would fly you back to your area. Texas Tech University, Borbal. Yeah, I used to live right down the street from that. When I was a little boy, when I was 10 to 15, I lived in Lubbock, Texas, and then went back to Philadelphia. Austin is red. Catamart GE. Gnosticism. Oh, you mean, I don't know much about it. Like Gnostics and stuff. Mainline Protestants like myself don't really subscribe to that. But who knows? I know your area. This guy was. I remember like in Dallas, used to go downtown. There used to be a nightclub there that was made. There was like a multi-story. It wasn't just one story. It was like a couple stories that you had to have a stamp on your hand to get in. And it was a discotheque in the 80s, like in the mid to late 80s. And the discotheque was called the Warehouse because the discotheque was in like an empty warehouse, and a couple of the floors they made into a club. And I remember, and they used to have concerts and stuff in downtown Dallas. They used to have like rock bands that were well known, and they would be videotaped there. And sometimes they would do music videos there. And the punk rockers used to hang out in Deep Ellum. And I remember the headquarters for Greyhound bus lines I think they just closed that place down and put it somewhere else. But downtown Dallas was the where that big giant Greyhound bus station was. And there's a place that's in Grand Prairie. I think it's in Grand Prairie called Las Colinas. It's like a big office complex, and it has these Mustangs made out of metal. The statue there, I've seen that. I got pictures of me where those Mustangs are when I was like, how old was I? What was I out there for? Oh yeah, I have family out there. Like I have family in the Dallas area, cousins and stuff like that. I remember that. I remember Grapevine Lake. I remember Louisville Lake. I remember Louisville before it had a mall. I remember when Texas Instruments had a facility on Highway 121. If you go like I think if you're going like the Stemmons Freeway goes past Carrollton up to Louisville, but if you got on 121 and went down 121, there was a Texas Instruments place out there that made the missiles that the engineers, aerospace engineers, whatever, they helped make the missiles that we used against the guy that was the dictator of Libya at the time. Remember that? I just kind of know stuff about Dallas-Fort Worth. It was getting big then. In the late 80s, Dallas-Fort Worth was already getting big. I think it really exploded like after 2008. Like after 2008, after that housing crisis thing where people were buying houses they couldn't afford. And some of the jobs started really drying up big time out in LA and places like that. I think a lot of people moved to the Dallas-Fort Worth area, and also from the Midwest too. And probably everywhere. California, Midwest, Texas. And from within Texas, the Midwest, the East Coast, and California all just had tons of people moving to the Dallas-Fort Worth area after 2008. And I went through there, and I couldn't believe how much traffic was there. I was like, whoa, this is like a mini LA. This place it looked like it looked bigger than the Houston area. Because I remember when the Houston area was bigger than Dallas-Fort Worth. Now Dallas-Fort Worth looks huge. And it's so spread out too. And you saw stuff there that you didn't see in other places, like 3-story apartment complexes that had breezeways with where you had to walk up. Instead of having a 2-story apartment with a breezeway and you just walked up to the second floor, they had 3 floors. They're trying to stack them real high. They do that stuff in Irving and Grand Prairie, and those apartments off the what is that? Is that the 20 that goes through there? I can't remember. I think the 20 goes through there. But they had apartments that went on forever down the freeway. I remember that. Oh, I'm sure that, it's always been a place where if you live someplace in the United States and wherever you're living sucks, and there's no jobs, and you're a young guy and you need to reinvent your life, go to Dallas-Fort Worth. At least bring a used car that works. It's not going to break down. Find some cheap place to live in between Dallas and Fort Worth and just go get a job. Your whole life will turn out fine. You're far away from the beach, but there's jobs around there. You could actually build a life from scratch there. That's the one thing I'll give the Dallas-Fort Worth area. You can build your life from scratch there. It's an even better start place. It's probably one of the best places in Texas to live. Houston's not bad. It's just humid as hell down there. Oh, yeah, I saw a lot of stuff out. Oh, is that why they got rid of the bus station? Maybe it got kind of rough around there. Oh, you work in Las Colinas and Irving. Okay, I know where that is. That's where the police don't screw around there. The police are extra strict in Irving. I'm very, believe me, I was a young person once. I know. You better have everything straight on your car and everything. It's expensive, but it's awesome. And you can get to Dallas quick if you need to. California's starting. The weather is really perfect, but the governments in the big cities there are very corrupt, and it needs federal intervention, in my opinion, and a lot of people's opinion, that the state of California needs federal intervention. And in particular, the city of Los Angeles needs federal intervention, and also does Oakland too. There's a few places that need to get some federal intervention there, in my personal opinion. They're ruining our culture. No, you know what? I disagree with Tucker Carlson on a lot of things. He's a smart guy, but he has his own opinion. Bucky Buckster, Hunt Brothers Pizza is a great bang for your buck. It's a lot of gas stations. Hunt Brothers Pizza? I keep thinking it's a trucking company. 4 flights of stairs on some of those apartments. Really, they do that? I was looking at it. I was like, this is back in the 80s. I'm looking. I'm like, damn, that's a lot of steps to walk up. I guess you might want to be like, a younger person in shape to be like going up and down those stairs all the time. Because usually when you have like 3 or more stories, you think it'd be a 2-story apartment, or they would build, and they only built them like in the 90s. You know what I mean? Like 90s, maybe early 2000s. Then I didn't see them get built anymore. But a lot of the apartments they're building now all look the same. The same ones in Austin are the same ones in Seattle, are the same ones in San Jose, are the same ones in Charlotte and Raleigh, North Carolina, in my area. They're 5 stories. They look like they're just boxes with different colors on them. It's like all the apartments are like these 5-story things. Did you ever, and they have like an underground parking. Have you ever noticed that? It's like the same developer or something. They're all over America now. 114, 4 flights of stairs, 114 steps. $4 of, if you buy 2 of them pizzas, you save like $4 plus unlimited toppings free of charge. I heard that inner city Houston, like if you get away from the suburbs and you go into Houston, because I got friends that live in over near the hospitals and stuff, like in the rich area in Bel Air and stuff. That's okay. But I heard a large chunk of inner city Houston is not cool anymore. That it's got some issues with crime, gangs and shit. That kind of stuff. Yeah, I've heard. I hear things, not just on the internet, but from real life people I know and stuff. Because I got family that lives around there. I've heard Austin's very expensive. And the thing is, in Texas, you're allowed to carry a weapon. That's the thing. That's the thing about living in a big city in Texas. Here's the thing. But you got a lot of people moving to Texas from other states like California that are cuckoo. And then they get to Texas. And then they're allowed to carry a sidearm. And then, you know what I mean? It's a little scary. Like I'm not the kind of guy that would be a pedestrian just walking around in any old neighborhood like in Houston or something like that. You know what I mean? Because I already went through that. I wouldn't do that. It's going to be interesting to see what happens to Houston and some of these cities in Texas because thanks, Scotty Wallace, 6197. Thanks for coming in. They better get with the program. People better get to the program. What's going on with it's really, I feel like the country's just about to go through something that they went through in the 80s already. And it's going to start all over again. I hope it's not like that. It's a nice area, though. The DFW Metroplex is a nice area of Texas. I recommend it for single young people and for young families. I think we have an owl out here. It keeps making that sound that owls make, a hoot sound. Oh, it's almost 9:30. It's almost time for me to go. You know what? I really enjoyed you guys coming in here. This is a blast. 4 flights of stairs. And you're going to go because we don't allow that in here. There will be no racial bigotry in my channel. No. Here, I answer questions and the answer is no. No. Jake Paul 2028. Bimbles 50180. Dan did Diamond 9/25/23. Who hurt you, bro? Not anyone that I know. No, I don't like to dress up in like that. I'm not that kind of person. No, I have some, a couple buddies that were over there. Really, a professor. Oh, that's interesting. Thank you for subscribing. Thank you guys very much for coming in, spending time. Sometimes you come in here, we don't talk about anything that's serious. Sometimes we talk about serious subjects. Sometimes we don't. Sometimes we talk about making milkshakes, Lucky Charms milkshakes. You separate all of the marshmallows out of the Lucky Charms cereal, and you put them in a blender with milk and vanilla bean ice cream. And strawberry syrup. And then you mix it up and you make what's called a Lucky Charms milkshake. Sometimes we talk about making amazing milkshakes like that. You'd be surprised what kind of things we talk about in here. It varies. I think I saw this guy in Casablanca. You know what's really interesting about Casablanca? I used to live right across the street from the Van Nuys Airport in Van Nuys, California, which is a neighborhood in Los Angeles. And that's the busiest private airport in the country, I think. And a lot of Lear jets there. And they filmed part of the movie, the airport scene from the movie Casablanca, there in the Van Nuys Airport. Van Nuys. It's a popular neighborhood for tourists and home buyers alike. You kind of look like Denise Richards. I'm not sure who Denise Richards is. No, I'm not an acting coach. I never worked in the entertainment industry. I did live in that neighborhood, Hollywoodland. Some people know where Hollywoodland is. It's an old housing development. It was built in the 20s and 30s and 40s, gradually. It's on the side of the eastern part of the Hollywood Hills. Okay, let's see this. Denise Richards, I'm not sure. Yeah, I lived in Van Nuys for a while. A lot of people think that, a lot of people dump on Van Nuys. I lived in Van Nuys for a while. I've been around there for a long time in the central San Fernando Valley. No, I don't. No, I grew up in Philadelphia. I came to California. I arrived. Where did I arrive? Long Beach. No, San Diego. Then I came up for a couple of days. I came to Long Beach. Long Beach used to have a Greyhound bus station in North Long Beach, near the freeway. And then I did not want to live around there. I went to downtown LA for about 4 days. And then I said, my friend and I that came out west on the ground decided we don't want to live there. Then we came to the old Greyhound bus station that used to be on, I believe, Vine Street, north of Fountain. But before you get to Hollywood Boulevard, it was on the left-hand side. It's next to a McDonald's, and there was a Greyhound bus station there. We got off there. I lived in Hollywood for about, I don't know, maybe a year and a half or so. And then I moved to the San Fernando Valley. No, I'm sorry. I went down to San Pedro. I worked on that earthquake. Let's see. How did it go? Hollywood, Echo Park, on Sunset and Douglas, and then down to San Pedro because they hired me out of a union hall in San Pedro to work on the earthquake damage. Then when I was done working there for about eight months, from there, I moved up to Seattle area for 3 years, and then I moved back down to California. And when I moved back down to California in 1999, I moved to the San Fernando Valley. Now, I had been to the San Fernando Valley several times before. I knew my way around there, but I had never actually lived there. I used to just go up to North Hollywood to go to parties and stuff like that. But I actually went there to live in 2000 and lived there until 2023. So I know the San Fernando Valley really well. Yeah, I know the Hollywood Hills pretty well too. Kendrick's Cops, 8915. Thanks for coming in. Thank you for the compliment. The cafe where the old Greyhound bus station used to be on Vine, right before you got to Sunset, I believe. I really don't know. I know there's a Winchell's Donuts there. There was a coffee shop there that used to have AA and NA meetings, like 12-step recovery meetings. I know there's a museum there. They have a lot of copies of a lot of films there. It's like a film museum there. I know Netflix is right around the corner. A broadcasting voice. I speak out of my diaphragm. Yeah, I probably do. I was in sales for a while. No, I'm definitely not a retired dentist. No, I got to get some work done on this. No. Direct sales and retail management, things like that. And hotel and related services. Peace Eshiot? No, that's funny. That's funny. Well, parts of Van Nuys, there's certain streets in Van Nuys. Van Nuys is not the kind of place you want to walk around after dark as a pedestrian on a sidewalk where there's no witnesses around. Like, I would not recommend walking down like Van Nuys Street from the 405 after dark, like walking past Sepulveda Boulevard and keep on going all the way down to Van Nuys Boulevard and start bouncing around Van Nuys Boulevard until 1 o'clock in the morning, unarmed, all by yourself. I wouldn't recommend doing something like that. But it's not like it's not like the part of South Central Los Angeles that's south of Gage Avenue or Gage Street or whatever it's called, south of Gage. Like there's a dividing, there's a part of South Central that's like in the northern part, and there's a part of South Central that's in the southern part, south of Gage. The part that's south of Gage is like a total different type of South Central than the ones that's the northern part. Like, it's not like that. It's Van Nuys is just kind of at nighttime. There's a bunch of little bang, bang, bang in the summertime. And, you know, homeless people like just acting up and acting stupid at night and doing whatever they do. Younger guys that, not older guys. I mean, like younger guys that they could work, but they don't. They're out there just jicking around, people stealing like catalytic converters and stuff. That it got really bad after 2020. But during the day, Van Nuys is just your typical working class, blue collar kind of middle income kind of area. Some apartments are nice, some apartments are junky. You know, some parts of Van Nuys are wealthier zip codes than others. You know, it just depends. You know, a lot of Van Nuys back in the early 2000s used to have a little bit higher crime rate. A lot of the Blythe Street and Langdon and Columbus and these areas where they had activity, criminal activity and stuff like that. A lot of those places got hit really hard by the federal government. The FBI raided a lot of those places, and the FBI raided like on Vineland Street over in North Hollywood and places like that. They really did a lot of raiding those places. And, you know, the younger people in Van, this whole gang culture is not like real popular like it used to be. It's just, it's mostly like the young people there usually are pretty good. They go to school and stuff. They're not like in the 80s and 90s. I remember going up into Van Nuys in like the late 80s and the 90s. It was actually rougher back then. I don't invent my own history. I remember what was real. But I have a lot of friends that live there. Oh, really? Thank you, Dirk Giggler, 67. You love my jacket? Thank you, Eric. No, it's all right. I take showers alone. I don't see Dennis Richards, but I see a lot of Dennis Quaid. No, I've spent a lot of time in Northridge. I've had to go to their emergency room at Northridge Medical Center. I remember when they had 2 Northridge hospitals. They closed one down. And made it into an apartment complex. Remember that? Yeah, I know. Echo Park. I actually lived there. When I was a young guy, I lived in Echo Park for about a year on Sunset and Douglas. I lived there when it was rough. I remember. But if you just mind your own business and you're not involved in anything criminal, nobody bothers you there. It was pretty cool. Oh, I don't drop names, but I've met some people. No, Los Angeles is not Mexico. There's definitely a difference. I don't think there's any part of Los Angeles that looks. Let me think about it. My lady friend over here, she begs to differ, but I'm trying to think of any place in Los Angeles that actually looks like something in Mexico. And I'm not anywhere in Mexico. I'm talking about, let me think.
Oh my gosh.
Like that looks like Tijuana, like a border town. I'm trying to think. I don't know, maybe. Do you know any place in Los Angeles that looks like TJ? Like for
South
real?
Central.
No, most of South Central looks like a suburb. It doesn't look it looks very American. It doesn't look
I don't know.
like.
I was just guessing.
Julie, you've been through Watts before, haven't you?
Yes, I have.
There may be some areas of, let me think about that. Maybe in the Florence Graham area, you might see some areas in Florence Graham that look like some of the better parts of Tijuana. It's like, if you go south from downtown, you go through LA, Central Alameda, and then you go into an unincorporated Los Angeles County, which is Florence Graham area. Florence Graham, Firestone, and then you go into Watts after that. And some of that area in there, and on some streets, some stretches of street do look eerily similar to some of the richer areas in Tijuana. Just to let you know what the difference in standard of living is. It's enormous between like a border town in Mexico and even the poorest of zip codes in Los Angeles. There's like this big difference. You know what I mean? I've been to TJ like 15, 17 times. Yeah. Gary Busey. Yeah, there's a lot of apartments there. San Francisco is getting cleaned up. It's going through a process right now. You know what? Who knows? No, I don't think she's from Van Nuys. Where is Cher from? Is she from is she from Arizona, or is she from Southern California, Imperial County? I don't know where Cher's from. I thought Cher was either from Arizona or from some part of California that was like over there near El Centro or something like that. I'm not sure. I'd have to look that up. I don't believe that Cher is from Van Nuys.
No.
I mean, I've heard that Marilyn Monroe was a foster child and stayed in Van Nuys. They couldn't afford LA anymore. That was back in 2002. Yeah, the prices of houses went up a lot. Oh, that's my lady friend, Miss Newman. But Pacoima, East LA. Trying to think of someplace in the unincorporated LA County part of East LA. I'm not talking about over in Boyle Heights and stuff. I'm talking about like over there in that unincorporated part. I'm trying to think if there's anything because I've been through there. I've eaten at restaurants there. I'm trying to think if there's anything around there. There might be some areas that look like the richer parts of Tijuana. Because there's a big giant difference in what it looks like. It's huge. Our country, you could tell when you come from Tijuana and you come back over to like San Ysidro and National City, you're like, oh my God, is this where it's like, boom, it's like, it looks so much richer. You know what I mean? I can't. I'm not going to. Well, I could, but I'm not going to. No, she's not. She's not. No, you're close. She's not from Arkansas. No, she's not half Armenian. She has Turkish in her. No, I don't think she's from the hills. Is she? I don't know. I don't know where she's from. I thought she was from like El Centro or something like that, like down there, where they grow all that lettuce and stuff. Yeah, but she was from El Centro. Oh, did you? I thought she was from El Centro. I don't know. It's kind of like information you guys can find. People are insisting she's from Van Nuys, though. I don't know. I remember when Figueroa Street was just a street. It didn't have the activity that's going on now, which is pretty horrible. It was just a street. In fact, there was a time in the late 1980s when you wouldn't want to be driving down, past 10 o'clock on Figueroa Street at nighttime, in the summertime, after 9, 10 o'clock in an August summer night. You wouldn't want to be driving down Figueroa Street. Nobody was out there. Everybody was too scared to ever even think about being outside. Like, everybody's inside. Everyone's in their house. Everyone's in their apartment. Nobody would walk on the street on Figueroa. It's just too dangerous, especially if you go south of like Gage Street or something like that, or even Slauson. If you went south of there, woo. Mike Lewis. Hate you for getting old and having a flat stomach. I just don't eat a lot. Your parents lived on Figueroa? Figueroa Boulevard is a very long road. I believe it's the longest road in LA County. I'm not sure if it's Sepulveda or if it's Figueroa. I think Figueroa is. I think it is. Laredo Heights, that's a nice little area. Got pump jacks up there. For people that don't know, across America, Baldwin Hills and Laredo, the area around there has and Fox Hills in the northwestern part of South LA, there's a lot of oil that's being pumped out of there. There is a lot of oil underneath that city. There's still oil underneath there. It's not all pumped out. You should look at some old pictures of like Redondo Beach or Torrance or Long Beach or parts of South Central. There's just oil derricks all over the place. and the oil's still down there. There's still tons of oil down there. Yeah, I try to keep things friendly. I do. Rob Bowell. Yeah, I try to keep it friendly. I try to keep my channel rated G or rated PG at most. $8.39. Some places are expensive. There's a lot of oil. There's oil underneath Beverly Hills, and there's oil underneath South Central Los Angeles in more areas than just Baldwin Hills. And there's oil all under Long Beach. There's so much oil underneath there, it's unbelievable. That got so much oil, it's bubbling up over near La Brea in Wilshire. It's called the tar pits. Could you imagine how many things have been thrown in those tar pits? Isn't it kind of creepy? Did you know it smells really bad over there? Did you know those apartments, the apartment complexes that are right next to the La Brea tar pits are actually in a kind of a nice area? It's called the Miracle Mile. It's kind of like a nice area of central LA, but it kind of smells bad there. Those apartments are not that expensive, and they're in a really good neighborhood too. But it smells horrible there. Those tar pits, it's just Scotty Wallace. Hold. John Deere 8888. When you were 20 compared to a 20-year-old now. I'm older now. I mean, figured out my age. I was 18 in 1984. I was 20 in 1986. I'm kind of sort of the same person as I was back then. I'm just older. Actually, when I was more aggressive when I was 20. More quick to a fist, you know. Even more so. I really was. I mean, I was just kind of like wild and not rebellious so much, but just kind of aggressive. And I worked hard, I played hard, and, you know, at least, you know, typical for that era. Well, Miss Newman, I think it's time for me to call tonight, isn't it?
Oh, yeah. I'm tired.
I haven't been on a live stream this long in a while. Well, we're getting up on 2 hours now. 1 hour and 59 minutes and 38 seconds. That's right. And it is 9:56 p.m. Eastern Standard Time in North Carolina, United States of America. I want you guys to have a good night. Nice talking with you guys and gals. I shall return tomorrow between 5 and 9 p.m. I have no idea when I'm coming on. Sometime in that time frame. Good night, everyone. Who knows what we'll talk about the next time I come on. Stay safe. Don't go next to toxic tar pits. They're not good for your lungs. Bye-bye. Hasta mañana.